Developing tonight, tensions rising at a pro-Palestinian protest in Southern California. Police in riot gear on the UC Irvine campus and more officers being called in. Good evening. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Tonight, school officials are asking everyone to leave the UC Irvine campus. The university is on alert as protesters are now occupying a science building. Let's give you a live look tonight at what's happening outside of that building. You can see someone being taken into custody here by officers. We have a large number of protesters facing off with police on this campus in Orange County. Now, tents that were set up by protesters were partially dismantled. Demonstrators here are demanding that the school divest from Israel. They're also demanding that UC Irvine rescind suspension notices that were sent last week to some students involved in the protest as we watch another person being taken into custody. Now, some of the students involved in the demonstration were negotiating with school officials, and clearly a number of arrests have been made on the campus. A man who described himself as a professor at the university spoke as police were taking him into custody.
I'm out here supporting my students who have the right to peacefully protest. And unlike the people who are escorting me right now, I think they're people, my students are not interested in violence. They're only interested in drawing attention to a genocide. And these police officers decided to grab me, even though I wasn't doing anything or saying anything any different from anyone else.
The university says it has put out a call for mutual aid to nearby law enforcement agencies asking for additional help on the campus. We will bring you updates on the situation that, again, is developing on the UC Irvine campus tonight as, again, more people are being taken into custody there at that scene of that demonstration. We move on to a much calmer scene at San Francisco State University. A new agreement convinced protesters there to begin breaking down their encampment earlier today. But as KTVU's Christian Captain reports, demonstrators insist they will continue to push their message about the conflict in the Middle East.
Our collaboration extended beyond our campus, encompassing other universities, community groups, and our steadfast faculty who stood by us from the beginning.
Student organizers who've camped on the San Francisco State University campus for 2 weeks say they've reached an agreement with the university's president addressing 3 of the organizers' 4 demands. Protesters had been calling for the university to disclose the school's investment portfolio, divest from companies that fund war or support Israel, and clarity on upcoming legislation that they say would curtail their rights to protest on campus.
The only demand that we haven't currently met is declaring it a genocide, calling it what it is, which is still very important and something that we're going to continue to work on through the summer and into the fall.
In a statement, San Francisco State's president said there have been times when student activism has pushed for positive institutional change, and she said this is one of those times. The president saying in part, quote, "Students for Gaza has pushed us to reflect on and commit to working with the SF State Foundation to review and draft a revision to our existing environmental, social, and governance investment policy statement. We will support the addition of a human rights-based investment strategy, including divesting from direct investments in weapons manufacturers." The school has also pledged to create a website to clearly lay out the school's investment strategies and outline her concerns about any legislation that students say would abridge their rights to protest. Student organizers say this is just the beginning.
So what we're working towards now that we've gotten this really important first step here at our campus is organizing with students at all of the different CSUs to come together, go to the Board of Trustees meeting, and make that change on a more systemic level.
Student organizers have already begun to dismantle the encampment here and say that they're ending the day and night encampment here on campus, but will keep a daytime presence in this area to keep interested parties informed. In San Francisco, Christian Captain, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Investigators returned to a Southern California landfill today to continue searching for the remains of a missing newborn. Family members say 3-week-old Baki Duis was last seen with his parents on May 3rd in Palmdale, north of Los Angeles. The parents have been taken into custody in Utah on unrelated charges, but the baby remains missing. Family members say the parents left Palmdale without raising any suspicion.
They just left like normal. It was a normal day, you know. There was nothing out of the blue.
It's very sad. Never been in a situation in my life.
Investigators have not said what sent them to the landfill to search for the baby's remains. They are treating this case as a death investigation. The death penalty is off the table for the young suspects, all charged with beating a 16-year-old to death in Arizona. The victim was attacked at a Halloween party last year. Fox 10's Brian Webb explains why the Maricopa County attorney has decided not to pursue capital punishment.
Rachel Mitchell says it was her decision not to seek the death penalty for any of the suspects, and that she came to that conclusion based on a sense of fairness for all. All 7 suspects are facing first-degree murder charges, but only 3 are eligible for the death penalty: Dominic Turner, Treston Biley, and Taylor Sherman. The other 4 were minors at the time of the crime.
Essentially seeking the death penalty against half of the defendants, or approximately half, and not the other half. That would assume that those that you seek it against may be the primary actors or the most severe actors.
16-year-old Preston Lord died in the hospital 2 days after being beaten at a Halloween party in Queen Creek. It took more than 4 months to make the 7 arrests.
People are used to watching TV, and they see a whole case resolved in a 1-hour TV show. In real life, cases could take, 2, 3, or 4 years or more to get resolved.
Attorney Benjamin Taylor says murder cases can take many years. Plus, prosecutors only get 1 shot, and that legal slow motion can actually benefit a prosecutor.
In cases like this, when you have a lot of suspects and defendants, a lot of times one suspect will flip on the others in order to get a better plea agreement to save their own life.
The county attorney insists she sees nothing suspicious from the arrests to no cameras in the courtroom and a trial date still more than a year away.
I did not see any sort of favoritism here. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. This was very complicated. And so to that end, I think the police did a very good job putting it together.
As of now, the murder trial of Preston Lord is set to start in July of next year. In Phoenix, I'm Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
A presidential debate agreement is somewhat of a disappointment for the University of Utah. President Biden and former President Trump have agreed now to 2 debates, one next month in Atlanta, the other coming up in September. The exact location of that debate has yet to be determined. This arrangement, though, was made outside of the traditional Commission on Presidential Debates. That commission wanted one of its debates to happen at the University of Utah, but now those plans have been scrapped. The White House is expected to announce some changes to the U.S. asylum system as soon as tomorrow. They're meant to speed up the processing of migrants at the southern border. These new rules would allow certain migrants to be processed first through the asylum system, according to administration officials. The goal is to move recent arrivals through the system in months rather than years. Roughly 3 million cases are working their way through U.S. immigration courts right now. President Biden is also considering an executive order to crack down on border crossings. That may come later this year. Coming up tonight, here on West Coast Wrap, another Las Vegas casino closing its doors. What's next for the Mirage after more than 3 decades on the Strip?
And in weather, here's our live camera in Phoenix. Current temperature of 93 degrees. Some scattered clouds showing up in this picture, showing you Chase Field as well. We're talking about some rain returning to parts of the West Coast, and we will have your forecast coming up.
And some people want to see wolves make a comeback in one part of Washington. Coming up tonight, why they believe a return will help another wildlife population. Another iconic hotel and casino on the Las Vegas Strip is shutting down. The Mirage is set to close on July 17th, and it will be transformed into a new Hard Rock Las Vegas hotel and casino. Renderings of the overhauled property show a new hotel tower in the shape of a guitar rising about 700 feet above the Strip. It's slated to open in 2027. The Mirage has been around for 34 years, dazzling crowds with its sidewalk volcano display. Guests with room reservations or show tickets beyond July 14th will automatically be canceled and refunded. A bill designed to improve aviation safety is headed to President Biden's desk. Today, the House passed a bill to reauthorize the Federal Aviation Administration for 5 years. This legislation enhances protections for passengers and airline workers, and it also invests in airport infrastructure nationwide. Bay Area Congressman Mark DeSaulnier began pushing for many of the provisions that wound up in the bill after a near miss at SFO 7 years ago. That's when an Air Canada pilot landed on the taxiway as opposed to the runway.
We came within 55 feet of having the biggest aviation disaster in the history of the country. So we put a lot of work into this, the committee and myself, and I'm very proud of what we've done on a bipartisan basis with this bill.
The bill authorizes $105 billion for the FAA over the next 5 years. New rules from the Department of Transportation require airlines to make it easier for customers to get refunds. However, these changes won't come in time for the summer travel season. The Biden administration says it will be easier to get refunds for everything from canceled or severely delayed flights to seat selection fees and poor Wi-Fi. The new rules take effect in October, and passengers can only get a flight refund if they choose not to travel. You can't take a new flight the airline rebooked you with or a travel voucher and also get a refund. U.S. overdose deaths have dropped for the first time in 5 years. New research from the CDC shows there were around 107,000 overdose deaths in 2023. That's down about 3% compared to 2022. Analysts are reacting cautiously, though, saying this is likely a sign of leveling off in the drug crisis rather than a decrease. We're learning more tonight about one challenge that states across the West are facing as they try to address the drug crisis. As we told you last night here on the show, there has been a recent surge of fentanyl seizures in this part of the country. Fox's Kennedy Hayes is in Denver tonight with a look at what's making it easier for drug cartels to get their product to users.
According to a study released by the National Institute of Health, law enforcement seized record numbers of fentanyl last year, and around half of what they found was in pill form. Now take a look at this chart showing the recent spike in fentanyl seizures across the U.S. Researchers under the National Institute on Drug Abuse say agents went from seizing 44 million fentanyl pills in 2022 to more than 115 million pills last year. The study also talks about how social media has made it easier for cartels to advertise and sell counterfeit fentanyl pills. I talked to a drug epidemiologist about what else is causing the spike.
Now that fentanyl is appearing in these pretty little pills, I worry that young people in particular are going to buy an illegal pill thinking it's something like Xanax or Adderall, and then it's going to contain fentanyl and it could kill them. So that's a big problem because these pills look like other prescription drugs.
The Drug Enforcement Administration says some pills are brightly colored to be disguised as candy. According to this year's DEA National Drug Threat Assessment, cartels based in Mexico are now distributing fentanyl in all 50 states. But law enforcement is finding the most fentanyl pills right here in the western region. And according to a new study released by the CDC, drug overdoses fell 3% last year. While most states in the east saw fewer deaths, most states in the west saw more. In Denver, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
A home security camera picked up scary images of a lightning strike in Nevada. This happened on Monday in Spanish Springs, outside of Reno. Lightning appeared to strike an area right next to a home. While smoke did lift from the area shortly after the strike, there are no reports of any significant damage or injuries, but certainly frightening for people who may have heard that or witnessed that. Let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who can tell us whether we can expect any more extreme weather in the West coming up for the rest of the week. Mark?
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, some pretty dramatic video there, and some showers and thunderstorms still showing up this evening in portions of Colorado out toward parts of Arizona as well. As far as Nevada, it is fairly quiet right now. We're showing you some of the current numbers right now. It is 78 degrees in Portland. Reno is checking in 80. Look at Las Vegas, though, it's still hot, 96 degrees. We'll show you the satellite and the radar to show you where the shower activity is focused. And as we come in closer, it looks like out toward the Denver area, we're tracking the clouds and some rain showers Also, here you can see portions of Arizona, just to the north of Phoenix, and also out toward portions of New Mexico as well. As you can see in California, a little bit of activity once again. Interesting satellite and radar as we show you some showers and some thunderstorms kind of developing in portions of the southern Sierra. And then up in the Pacific Northwest, you can see up towards Seattle and Portland, a sun-cloud mix. This was a scene today in Seattle, a high of 75 degrees. Some scattered high clouds showing up in this picture. In San Francisco, well, this is from Oakland looking out towards San Francisco. And as you can see, the low clouds and fog, the marine layer here, a temperature of 61 degrees. And in Denver, showing you the clouds responsible for the scattered showers throughout the day. Temperatures in the upper 60s. So here's the game plan for your Thursday forecast. We will bring in some shower chances for Seattle. Definitely temperatures in the 60s and more clouds in their forecast. Some fog back in the picture for San Francisco. The sun cloud mix into the afternoon hours. No big changes for Southern California. Mostly sunny skies out toward Phoenix. It looks like partly sunny skies for the Denver area with temperatures in the 70s. So in terms of rain showers, at least the rain chances for tomorrow, you can see the main activity kind of scooting on out to the east out toward New Mexico for tomorrow. And then up in the Pacific Northwest, we are tracking those clouds and some shower chances on the increase up in the Seattle area for tomorrow. So here is the breakdown, as you can see here, for the next 3 days. In Seattle, it's about a 30 to 40% chance of some showers. In San Francisco, no big changes. Temperatures in the 60s, pretty much an identical forecast for Los Angeles. But here comes the heat back in Phoenix. You can see temperatures tomorrow approaching the mid-90s, and look at this, back up in a triple-digit territory by Friday and into Saturday. So Alex, tracking some rain showers, at least the chance for parts of the West. It looks like a return of triple digits, as you can see, out toward Phoenix as we head toward the weekend.
Okay, Mark, thank you. A soldier from Vallejo, California, who died as a prisoner of war during World War II has been identified. The Defense Department says 21-year-old Private Marcus Anguisser was taken prisoner in April of 1942 when the Japanese invaded the Philippines. He was among the thousands of Americans and Filipinos subjected to the 65-mile Bataan Death March to various POW camps. Anguisser was buried alongside other POWs in a common grave. Remains were sent for Defense Department analysis back in 2018. His remains will now be returned to Vallejo for burial. Now to Washington State, where climate change and a rise in the number of coyotes is threatening the marmot population. Fox 13's Lauren Donovan tells us there is a call now to put them on the endangered species list.
They're not a squirrel, though they are indeed related. They're not prairie dogs, but sort of act like them. This is the marmot. Often you'll hear them before you see them. Up in the Cascades, sunning themselves on a rock, poking through grasses, out on the Palouse. There's all sorts of varieties existing across the globe. But today, we're talking about a specific subspecies, the Olympic marmot, Washington State's endemic mammal.
They're the fluffy denizens of these beautiful alpine meadows, and their personalities just really brighten what's already a really beautiful habitat.
Lovingly referred to as the whistle pig. This call of theirs signals danger to the colony, and right now, they most certainly are at risk. It's estimated just 2,000 to 4,000 Olympic marmots remain, prompting a petition to put these snout-nosed rodents on the endangered species list.
As the temperatures warm and snowpack decreases, trees move uphill, and we're going to see forests taking over these meadows. With losing those meadows, we'll lose the marmots too.
That's Noah Greenwald with the Center for Biological Diversity. He says between 1990 and 2006, there was a sharp decline. And as the snowpack melts, it's made way for a new predator.
It's allowing coyotes more time up in the high country.
One study found 85% of the time a marmot is preyed upon, a coyote is to blame. But coyotes aren't native to the Olympics, so how'd they get here?
The disappearance of wolves that allowed coyotes to move in.
Noah says in the early 1900s, a government-led campaign wiped them from their historic home.
Through poisoning, through shooting. And so wolves were eliminated in that time from the Olympic Peninsula.
Noah, along with U.S. Fish and Wildlife, argues returning these apex predators can rebalance the scales. It's already been done in the eastern side of the state. Resettled Rocky Mountain wolves now roam the Cascades. But maybe those aren't the best fit for the lush coast of the peninsula. Why not instead transplant some packs from Vancouver Island?
The wolves that were present in the Olympics are more similar to wolves in British Columbia.
Could returning the wolves help save the marmots?
And that was Fox 13's Lauren Donovan reporting for us tonight. Now that the petition has been filed, the federal government will be deciding if there is enough evidence that marmots are endangered, and then the public will have a chance to weigh in. Coming up here on West Coast Wrap tonight, more drivers are going electric, and that is cutting into a revenue stream that the state of California counts on. Tonight, what could replace the gas tax? Plus, you will meet a remarkable woman who just celebrated her 105th birthday in Southern California. What she says is the key to living such a long, happy life. California's Transportation Department is looking for a new way to raise money. Revenue collected at the pump has declined over the years because of the rising number of electric vehicles. Reporter Maricela de la Cruz tells us about a new pilot program that is aimed at replacing the gas tax.
Caltrans is looking into a potential replacement for the gas tax,
which is a per mile fee instead of a per gallon fee that is currently being paid at the pump.
The transportation system, but with a shift to more electric vehicles, the current system won't work for the state.
And this current pilot that we're doing is really focused on testing the revenue collection.
The agency adds that the road charge would balance out the fee inequity.
Right now, under the gas tax system, those who can't afford newer vehicles are actually paying more than those who can afford newer vehicles. So those folks tend to be in more disadvantaged communities or maybe rural areas.
Caltrans is looking for 800 participants to partake in the pilot program. They would be divided into 2 rate groups.
If you're wondering how much your fee would be, you could use the road charge calculator by Caltrans and answer 3 questions. How many miles you drive a month, how many miles per gallon your car gets, and the kind of fuel that you use. Then you'd get a rate. However, this is going to be hypothetical, and it will eventually be determined by the state's legislature.
But as the program gets ready to kick off in a few months, there's no promise that this would replace the existing gas tax. The pilot program is set to begin on August 1st and end in January of 2025. Maricela de la Cruz, KCRA 3 News.
Finally tonight, a Southern California woman just celebrated her 105th birthday. Happy birthday to you. Wang Song was surrounded by family and friends for the big occasion. Song has been living in a nursing home in El Monte. She says her secret to living a long life is to be happy, eat and sleep well, and exercise every day. She also says her favorite activities are bingo and the Chinese card game Mahjong. She is going strong at 105. A very happy birthday to her. And that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching. As always, you can keep up to date on the stories we're following at westcoastwrap.com. Have a great night.